This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
I will bring back free speech in America. And finally, to restore pride in our history and confidence in our future, I will lead a massive year-long salute to America to celebrate the 250th anniversary. On July 4th, this was July 4th, 1776, okay? There are other dates you hear about, but this is the date that we recognize, 1776, and we're going to have a big celebration, and it's going to be a celebration like we really deserve in this country for everything we've gone through. With you at my side, we will give our nation's founding the amazing anniversary party that America needs and so richly deserves.
Mr. Jones owned a cotton plantation and many slaves. One day he was talking to the owner of the plantation next to his, and Mr. Jones was lamenting the fact that times were tough. He was having to work his slaves harder than ever, and was having trouble with some of them being disobedient or trying to run away. The other plantation owner said he knew someone who could help.
Day one.
One day, Mr. Jones called his slaves together so a man named Mr. Smith could talk to them. Before beginning, Mr. Smith whispered to Mr. Jones, "Whatever I say, do not contradict me or interfere, and I promise you your slave troubles will end." "My name is Mr. Smith," he said to the slaves, "and this may be the happiest day of your lives. From today forward, you will no longer be slaves, but free men." Mr. Jones was so shocked he started to step forward, but Mr. Smith gestured for him to remain silent. He did, only because the other plantation owner had spoken so highly of Mr. Smith's skills. "You are no longer the property of Mr. Jones," Mr. Smith continued. "You are free. No more will you be forced to labor for the benefit of Mr. Jones. Now you can work for yourselves." Now the slaves were all murmuring and looking at each other. Many were smiling, many were looking puzzled.
Hello everyone. Today I will be discussing the pagan origins of the celebration or holiday that many of us come to know as Independence Day or 4th of July. First, I'll briefly discuss the political side of 4th of July and how we come to know it, at least the storyline they give us about it. And then I will discuss the spiritual side of what's really going on and what the 4th of July is really attached to. So I'm going to begin with the political side. July 4th, 1776 is said to be the date that the United States claimed independence from Britain, although some historians believe it actually took place July 2nd, 1776. If you do your research, you will find that in 1776 there were still slaves in America. This was evidenced because there were slaves in Texas who didn't even know they were being freed. Until around 1865, after Abraham Lincoln caught wind of this and sent a Texas general to fight the Confederates in Texas to free the slaves. I want to stop and say this as a side note. Abraham Lincoln or no other man is my savior. The only savior I have is Christ the Savior. We should stop praising and making heroes out of man and recognize that it is the Most High Creator who uses these people to make them do certain things.
Citizen of the United States of America.
Not to love the poor is a great disgrace. So the Heil, Heil, right in the poor's face. So the Heil, Heil, right in the poor's face.
The United States is not even a country. It is in fact a corporation. A corporation that is owned by the Queen of England. So go figure. Given this fact, how free, independent, or separate are we really from Britain? Anyway, there is obviously more to this political side of truth.
To all our brethren to receive the most merciful, the Grand Master.
It's self-evident, Brother Franklin. All men are created equal.
Indeed, Brother Washington. All Freemasons meet as equals, and we have an opportunity to create a nation in the very essence of Masonic morality. It would be wonderfully symbolic, don't you think?
You'll be wanting to put the all-seeing eye on our banknotes next.
You think I'm taking it a bit far?
Please don't ask me questions like that, Brother Franklin. You know I cannot tell a lie.
Oh, come on, Brother Washington. Everybody lies occasionally, surely, especially politicians.
In fact, you are now free to leave the plantation whenever you want, Mr. Smith said. However, since we are surrounded by other plantations, if you leave, some other plantation owner will likely claim you as his own the moment you set foot on his property. So I urge you not to risk your newfound freedom by doing something so foolish. Instead, I suggest that you stay here, no longer as slaves, but as willing participants and part owners of this plantation. Yes, this is now your plantation. Mr. Jones bit his tongue to keep from objecting. For now, we might as well leave Mr. Jones in charge, said Mr. Smith, since he's the only one with any experience at running a plantation, which is quite a complicated thing to manage. But he will no longer be your master, but just another worker on the plantation. In fact, he will now be using his organizational and management skills to serve you. Whatever problems you may have had with him before, you are now all equals, and you need each other to make this work. If we all cooperate and work together, we can all reap the benefits together. In honor of this happy occasion, I present you this new symbol of togetherness and cooperation, this flag, which shall be the emblem of the new Free Jones Plantation. He held up the new flag, but most of those listening were still too amazed to respond. And this shall be our motto, Mr. Smith announced. We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones Plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all. To celebrate, everyone has the rest of the day off. Enjoy your freedom, do as you please, and be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, so that we may begin work on this great and noble new endeavor as equal free men. Finding convinced that Mr. Smith was serious, the former slaves applauded and cheered.
Now let's go on to the spiritual aspects of the 4th of July. Before beginning with the spiritual connection to the 4th of July, I just want to make it clear that the cycle and the movements and all of those things, the position of the constellations itself and how things are going in the atmosphere and all that is not evil. What makes it become evil, or sorcery, as the Most High Creator would put it, is when people study these things and try to do things in life or plan things in life around it or toward it to get some sort of outcome.
We could be true American heroes. Don't you love your country?
You can't spell America without Erica.
Who wants to see some fireworks? Doesn't that just lift your spirits?
You know, that's when it becomes evil. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I speak about it. Of course, many will see it as not being evil. These same people you can call sorcerers, because that's what the Most High call them. You're not supposed to try to beat time or do things as if you're God in this earth by studying the atmosphere and how the constellation works. So just to be clear, the constellations and the stars and how things work up there and all that, that itself is not evil. In fact, the Creator made those things. However, man took it upon himself to try to intervene with these celestial beings and try to make their own path to whatever Satan is trying to do in this earth.
Day 2.
We all want this plantation to do well, Mr. Smith said at the beginning of the next meeting, so we can all share in the benefits. We all know that it takes a lot of effort to make a cotton plantation work. Just because you're all free doesn't mean you can stop working. In fact, since you're now working for yourselves, I expect you to work even harder than ever before, but now with pride and joy, knowing that you're working for yourselves. Of course, there still have to be rules. If everyone just does whatever he wants, the plantation won't produce anything. This experiment will fail and we'll all starve. You should be thankful that Mr. Jones has agreed to stay on to lend his knowledge and skills to this endeavor, and I trust you will all do your own part to make this work. Several of you have been chosen to act as project supervisors to manage different aspects of the operation, to make sure everyone is doing his assigned job, to make sure that the rules are followed, and so on. The rest of you may head out in the fields to start your first day of work as free men.
Moving on to the spiritual connection of the 4th of July. This world, for those that haven't figured it out yet, is ran on mystery, Babylonian, sun worship, principles, and rules. Basically, it's a religion. And many of the things in this world, such as holidays, clubs, organizations, institutions, beliefs, fashion, trends, traditions, they're all constructed using cycles and movements of the constellation, the sun, geometrical positions of the sun and of certain stars and all that kind of stuff. The British, Romans, elite rulers, etc. of this world is making everyone in the world give homage and honor to Satan through sun worship. And
Not me, not even so much as an alternative fact.
But we must all be aware of fake news.
The people must be free to think what they like as well. We can have no thought police in our new society. The foundation stone of our new nation built on all those principles that we hold dear.
The plans for our new capital city already have a very Masonic feel to them, yeah.
Candidate for initiation into the order, I'm giving him a little introduction into some of our mysteries. These two gentlemen are founding an entire nation built on our principles.
We have great promises for our new nation. I wonder if other presidents after me will also be Freemasons.
Many will be.
Sometimes what you leave out of a story is even more interesting than what you leave in. That happened when we were in Oxford, Maryland. Learned that the pride of that old town was one Robert Morris Jr., the financier of the American Revolution. Years ago, we used to go down to the county library to get a picture of a bird like that, but now we just use the internet. That's where I found this picture here. Now, the caption said it was a shot of the Greek god Mercury handing a bag of loot to Robert Morris, the financier of the American Revolution. Well, that's just a tiny part of a much bigger picture called the apotheosis of Washington. Now, apotheosis is a Greek word that means to make divine. In other words, this painting shows George Washington becoming a god. Now, I never knew that happened. But there it is for all to see, painted under the most famous dome in the whole country, maybe the whole world, the United States Capitol. Now, the most interesting part of this particular heaven are the folks that live in it. Now, you'd expect to see Moses and Abraham and Ezekiel and that crowd hanging around, but not a single fella from the Bible's up there. Now, Minerva, the Roman goddess of crafts and wisdom, is shown delivering an electrical generator and batteries and a printing press to Benjamin Franklin, Samuel Morse, and Robert Fulton. And Neptune, the Roman sea god, and Venus, the goddess of love, are shown helping to lay the transatlantic telegraph cable. I'll bet you they were a big help. Now, there's some other gods, but not a single prophet, apostle, or even a lower archangel in the whole 4,500 square feet. All I know is what I read on the internet, but you hear a lot of talk these days about the religious beliefs of our founding fathers. Now, those boys may have been as devout as saints. We'll never know. One thing's for sure, you'd never tell by looking at Capitol Dome. Charles Paparella, WBOC News.
Day 3.
The next morning, Mr. Smith had a grim expression on his face as the daily meeting began. "I have an unpleasant duty to do today," he said. "Yesterday, Charles was caught keeping some of the cotton he picked, presumably to sell for his own personal profit. That is against the rules. That is stealing. For that, Charles must be punished." Two men tied Charles to the whipping post. "I take no joy in this," Mr. Smith continued, "but you must understand, if we do not maintain order, if we do not have rules that we all abide by, then the plantation will fail, and we will all suffer." The whip cracked against Charles' back. "But if we all pitch in for the common good, then we can all prosper. Being free doesn't mean you should be selfish and greedy. We must each do our assigned duties and obey the rules, and then we can all benefit, and each of you will receive your appropriate share of the profits." A young man named Samuel stepped forward. "But if you and Mr. Jones decide the rules and whip us if we disobey, how is that any different from what we had before?" How can you say that? Mr. Smith asked. I'm shocked. You were a slave before, and now you're free. Things still need to be managed and organized by those best qualified to do so. Do you know how to run a plantation, Samuel? Well, no, he answered. But if we're free, why do we get no say in what the rules are and how things work? I'm surprised at your ingratitude, Mr. Smith answered. None of you know how a plantation is run, so you're in no position to be making decisions about how things are done here. You don't seem to appreciate all the things that Mr. Jones provides for you, from protecting you from all the outside threats that you know nothing about, those who would come here, capture and enslave you, if not for Mr. Jones' protection, to making sure that you all have food and housing, tools to work with, you're cared for when sick and injured, and so on. There wouldn't be a plantation at all, no cotton to pick, no land to plant and harvest, if not for him. You should be grateful that he's made possible the level of comfort you now have. Your lives would be far worse if not for him. Nevertheless, as free and equal participants in this endeavor, from now on at each meeting, any worker may have 2 minutes to ask questions or voice suggestions or complaints. With that, the workers all seemed satisfied and headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton.
What makes America great? The answer's simple, really. Americans make America great. You are the lifeblood of the nation, and your rights as Americans must be safeguarded. There's only one solution to keep our country great: a new tradition. Participate today, and nothing will make you prouder than when your boy looks up at you and says, "Dad, I want to purge too."
And Mount Rushmore.
The 4th of July is no exception. The 4th of July is connected to none other than the star Sirius and goes by many, many names. The Black Sun, the Dog Star, Lord of Sirius, Blazing Star, Eastern Star, Silver Star of Heaven, Isis, and many, many more. There's a time of year when Sirius connects with the sun. That's what this is all about, and I'll get into that in a second. Known to many who follow the energies and movements of the constellation as the spiritual sun. Some conscious communities, as well as other religious groups, have been known to even call Sirius the star of Christ consciousness. And again, there are many other names that they call this star. So when Sirius conjoins with the sun, it is believed to be a movement that has energies for independence, freedom, and liberation. Hence the reason why they chose the 4th of July to celebrate the so-called independence freedom of the United States from Britain. And I say so-called because, like I explained to you earlier, the United States is not a country, it's a corporation, and it's owned by the Queen of England. Again, so go figure. And it just goes to show you how they lie about things.
Day 4.
I have a big announcement, Mr. Smith said as the daily meeting began. Mr. Jones' cousin is here, and not just to visit and see how our project is coming along. It has been decided that from now on, you will be deciding who will manage the plantation. Of course, this job can't be done by just anyone, but every 3 months we will have a special meeting at which all the workers will vote on whether we think Mr. Jones should run the plantation or whether we think his cousin, Mr. Johnson, should run the plantation. That means that ultimately you are in charge because you will be deciding which man you want running things on your behalf. If you don't like the way things are being managed, you now have the power to change it. Amazed and pleased, the workers headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton.
Now remember, there's always a political or carnal storyline to everything that goes on in this earth. But remember, the war is spiritual, so you should not take your eyes totally off of the spiritual side. This is exactly how Satan comes in and robs us all blind, putting us all on the wrong team because we don't understand the things that we're celebrating and becoming a part of. Many of the things they have us doing is hidden in iniquity. That's the name of the game. It's hidden. It's not going to be outright where you recognize it goes against the Creator.
Days passed, months passed, a year passed, and the plantation continued to operate as before. Sometimes Mr. Jones was in charge, sometimes Mr. Johnson was in charge, but the day-to-day routine stayed exactly the same. The workers worked hard, long hours every day, and still had little to show for it. Every day the meeting would begin with them all reciting the Jones Plantation motto. We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones Plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all. One day Mr. Smith announced, "Samuel is asked to say a few words this morning, and whatever the rest of us may think of his ideas and opinions, we are all free here, and that means we are all allowed to speak our minds. So, Samuel, you have 2 minutes. Begin." Samuel stepped forward, looking scared. "I was excited when all this started," he began, glancing nervously at Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones. "But don't you all see what's happened here? Nothing's changed. We're all still slaves." There were grumbles of disagreement from the crowd. "They tell us what to do and whip us if we don't. They still make all the rules and punish us if we disobey. They let us make suggestions and complain about things, but they never really change anything. They let us choose between Mr. Jones and Mr. Johnson, but what's the difference? The situation stays the same. We do all the work and they take as much as they want and decide how much they'll let us keep. They live in luxury, made rich by the cotton we pick. We do all the work and have to build our own huts, grow our own food, and take care of ourselves. They leave us just enough that we don't revolt or run away. This is not freedom. We're all still slaves. They've only changed the words they use, but nothing else has changed. They say we're all free and equal, but we're not. They command and we obey. That's not freedom. That's not equality. They say we're free to leave, but all that means is that we're free to be someone else's slave. Why should we work or obey the rules? We didn't agree to this. They made the system. They forced it on us. They control and rob us and call it freedom. They've deceived you into thinking that being able to choose which slave master you'll work for is the same as being free. It's not. Open your eyes. If you keep what you produce, they call it stealing. When they take what you produce, they call it sharing and fair distribution. Can't you see that this is all your time? Ease up, Samuel, Mr. Smith announced calmly. At his gesture, two supervisors grabbed Samuel by the arms and led him to the whipping post. I'm sorry, Samuel, but you've broken the rules. There are rules against encouraging others not to work and encouraging others to break the rules. You're only hurting all of us with your discontentment and your complaining and your disobedience. The whip fell and Samuel let out a grunt. Without rules, without order, all would be lost. Without law, there would be chaos. We can't just behave as wild animals, each doing whatever he pleases. We must all follow the plan and all do our duty for the betterment of everyone. And those who do not must be punished. The whip fell again and blood flowed freely from Samuel's back. Samuel, it is you who are stealing from the others. When you don't do your assigned work, you are making more work for others. When you disobey the rules, it is you who are endangering the future of everyone else here. You are the thief. You are the criminal. You are the one trying to destroy the arrangement that keeps us all safe and prosperous. At every lash of the whip, the other workers cheered louder and louder, some yelling curses at Samuel. Being spoiled and selfish, you complain about everything, talking as if you're oppressed. But you are the one ruining things. You are the one keeping us from being all we could be. It is your greed and your rebelliousnness that is hurting all of us. They all play by the rules, Mr. Smith said, gesturing at the others. What makes you think that you don't have to? You think you're above the law? There were loud yells of agreement as the whip fell again. We must maintain order, Mr. Smith proclaimed, to make this plantation great, to make it so that we can all be happy and prosperous. To have the society we want, there have to be rules. We all have to contribute our fair share to this great endeavor, and we cannot tolerate actions and attitudes that seek to undermine the amazing things that together as free men we have achieved and will continue to achieve. Mr. Jones was smiling as he gave Mr. Smith a pat on the back. The crowd was cheering so loudly that none of them had noticed that Samuel had died.
I did go to the Economist website for the 2026 World Ahead magazine cover, just like the very prophetic 2025 and the 2024 covers, and they show us this. What stood out to me too was this cargo ship right here, but it's really a battleship in disguise attacking America's 250th anniversary cake. So are they hinting to a major false flag around that time?
Number. And it also has a very nice Masonic temple at the base of it. Okay, are you getting the message here? And what I wanted to show you is if we go from this Bunker Hill, this is crazy to me, but this is just the kind of things that are revealed to me. We go from Bunker Hill and we go back down to the Washington Monument, but along the way, we cross directly over New York City. And I want you to see how this line intersects New York City. I mean, flat out just cuts it in half, right? And look at how Trump Tower is situated to this line. And you wouldn't believe it if I told you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I measured how long Trump Tower is from this line, and it's pretty insane, you guys. This line right here, and I got it as exact as I possibly could. Exact as I could, you guys, seriously. 0.13 miles, now get a load of this, 222 yards, and you guessed it, 666 feet. Trump Tower from this line that dissects from the Bunker Hill obelisk all the way to the Washington Monument.
These heroes will never be defaced. Their legacy will never, ever be destroyed. Their achievements will never be forgotten.
Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey, whether of sin unto death, or of obedience unto righteousness? But God be thanked, that ye were the servants of sin, but ye have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you. Being then made free from sin, ye became the servants of righteousness.